Hello my lovelies, and you join me with my brakes binding, but now they've unbinded. You join me as I'm driving to work on a Thursday, and I'm actually in the Land Rover. I'm in Boo. Oh, there's a lovely thought being in Boo. Happy days. Where was I? Yeah, I'm in the Land Rover because I'm going to be doing some car swappery. What the fucking hell? Frightened the life out of me, that fucking did. I thought it bloody thrown up a stone and shattered my windscreen. It's a bloody stupid exhaust. Oh, what an armhole. What an absolute armhole. I'm doing some car swappery tonight. In fact, because I've been feeling better today. I have. You know, not maybe not 100%, but an awful lot better than I have been feeling. And it's been a relatively mild day, probably very mild for the time of year. So I've actually been out. I've been out of the cottage. Can you believe it? I took wet leg for a spin around the block, got her moved, got a heat cycle through her. Her battery was down, and I just about managed to bump start it. Didn't think I was going to do it, and just about did it on the last bump. I shouldn't have tried really, the battery was too low, but I did it. And excuse me. So yeah, wet has been moved, that's all good. And then I took Lewis Hamilton out, turned his wheels over, and he behaved quite well actually. He started easily on full choke and then didn't quite entirely go off choke, but it's kind of better that way round than the other. So Lewis has been out and about and has moved, so that's good. And I am taking Boo to work because I'm going to be bringing Minge Bag home. It's Thursday night, obviously. Minge Bag is coming home tonight because there's a chance that people will be coming to look at her with a view to potential purchase over the weekend. But even without that, it's time she came home anyway. She's had her stint at the restaurant, and there's no bad weather on being forecast for the next kind of 10 days. So Boo can have a turn back at the restaurant. I'm really enjoying driving Boo, actually. I'm really enjoying this. So there we are, that's what's happening. Boo will be staying there tonight. Minge Bag will be coming home. Oh, and I need to do a little job to her. I'd completely forgotten about it. She needs a headlamp bulb, so I'm going to be driving home tonight with one eye closed. I often forget just how much I love this car. There's nothing quite like driving a Land Rover. Doesn't even matter which one it is. Well, you know, unless it's an old Defender. The experience is comparable across the range in many ways. I said when I first bought this car, obviously I've owned Discoveries, Range Rovers, never owned a Freelander before this one, and whilst it is a small car, I mean it's a relatively small car by any standards. It's a tiny bloody car by Land Rover standards, and I'm going to have to slow right down here. Yeah, although it's a small car, from the driver's seat, looking out over the big old clamshell of a bonnet, doesn't feel like a car, a small car. Feels like a big un. Feels like an Iver. Oh, that's a new thing. I like that. A big car from now on is an Iver. An Iver big un. We'll add that to an Arthur. So your daily car is your Arthur daily, and your biggest car is your Iver big un. I'm quite pleased with that. Small things please small minds. Pretty much full on daylight, which is lovely. I'm getting the feeling more and more that spring really is just around the corner, and I think I'm looking forward to this spring more than I've ever looked forward to any other. I keep talking about it, but the older I get, the harder winters get, emotionally, I mean. Although with gas the price it is, they're bloody hard financially as well at the moment. This is brilliant. I'm loving this. What a brilliant thing the Freelander is. Now, what else did I want to talk to you about? Ah, yes. Project Hans Solo, the community city rover. If you're in the Facebook group, you'll have seen a post about this, and if you were on last night's live stream, I forgot to indicate then, naughty boy. If you were on last night's live stream, tricky chaps, words. If you were on the live last night, you will have heard me talk about it. Now, as a lot of you know, for ages and ages, I've had a thing for the City Rover. Now, I've never driven one, but people whose opinions I would put some faith in have told me that they're pretty much the worst car that they've ever driven. Joseph Lloyd certainly expounded on that theme over 2 separate days for a total of about 4.5 hours. He was very keen to let me know in the fullest possible terms just how dreadful this car was. And various other luminaries have also not been backwards in coming forwards and saying just what a dog's dinner of a car it is. And as I say, I've not driven one. I can't tell you from personal opinion, but who am I to argue with them? But the point is kind of this, I think. It might be a dreadful car. In fact, I don't doubt that it's a dreadful car, and I'm sure that that would be confirmed if and when I actually have the dubious pleasure of driving one. However, it was the last car sold under the Rover name. Might not have been built by Rover. Well, in fact, we know perfectly well they weren't. They were built by Tata. They were the Tata IndyCar that Rover then just tarted up. Tarted up. See what I did there? Oh, please yourselves. So that kind of makes them important. They're a milestone, a bookend in the Rover story, albeit not a great one. And because they're so dreadful, and because they're so hideously unloved, and because by all accounts they're not averse to rusting a little bit, they have sort of slid by the wayside. Goodness, even Saint Hubnut, the patron saint of lost causes, gave up on his little chap, and that very sadly ended up in quite a notorious scrapyard. So I think that as a community, between us, we should save one. And one popped onto eBay only a few days ago, and about 643,921 people sent me the link. Now, this little chap that is currently offered on an eBay auction is, I think it's 2005, I think, or is it 2006? I can't actually remember. What I can remember is it is the absolute bottom of the range. It is the solo model, so that is the entry level model. So it has got nothing. It's got steel wheels, sports windows, well, it's got bugger all. It hasn't even got a split folding rear seat, and that kind of makes it perfect, because it's kind of fitting that we should save what is, you know, go big or go home. I'm a big fan of that. So if you're going to buy what is generally thought to be, if not the worst Rover ever made, because Rover didn't make it, certainly the worst car ever sold under the Rover name, if you're going to buy one of those, then buy the lowest spec, most poverty type version of it that you possibly can. And this one is definitely that. Other than that, it looks half tidy. It's got a pretty low mileage, and it has some MOT. And MOTs are a jolly useful thing, I find. I mean, it happens to be silver, but that is genuinely just sheer coincidence. Try saying that when you're drunk. So I think that as a collective, we should buy the bugger. Now, how would that work exactly? Well, I've thought about this. So basically, the idea would be that we form the group, and then one of us bids on the car, hopefully buys it, and then whatever it costs, we would share equally between us. And then going forward, we would share the cost of the tax again equally, and one of us would insure it. We would all share the cost, and assuming that everybody else has got a policy that allows them to drive another car with the owner's permission, then everybody would have insurance on it and be able to drive it. And then what we would do is, however many people were in the ownership group, we would divide that into 12, into 52, and that's how many weeks of the year we would each have it. And we'd track it all on YouTube. There'd be a really good, fun social side to it when the car had to be swapped from one person to another. We could make it really famous. It would be brilliant content for YouTube channels or social media or whatnot, and we'd be doing a really good thing saving this car. And we could have another thing that, you know, whenever each of us had it for a period, we'd all try and do a little something to improve it, so that over time it became well, not a really nice thing, but a really nice example of a really lousy car, that sort of thing. So as we stand, there are 4 of us who've agreed to do it. So that would be doable with 4 of us. Ideally, I'd love to have 12 of us, so that the amount of money involved was really quite small per person, and there would be plenty of movement of the car. So if there were 12 of us, the car would be being moved once a month, and spending each month at a different home. And I think that would be really good fun. And if it worked, and I can't see why it wouldn't, then there'd be no reason why we couldn't go on to do that with other cars. Maybe less awful ones even. I've just got a really good feeling about it. I think it's a lovely idea for the community, and for our community, but also for the wider MG Rover community. You know, it's a car that's going to be cherished, made famous, kept on the road. That's got to be a good thing, surely. So, if you'd be interested in getting involved with that, give me a shout. We're already discussing it in the Facebook group. Check that out. It's Boaty's World on Facebook. You'll find my page and my group. Join the group. That's where we're going to discuss it, as well as I'll be setting up a private chat for us in Facebook Messenger moving forward to sort out the logistics and whatnot in private between us. Or just give me a shout in the comments below, or whatever you want to do. God knows it's easy enough to get in touch with me. And as I say, I think it's a great idea. I think it's something I'm excited about. And I think the City Rover is the perfect car to do it with. I imagine that few people would want to buy it, because, well, they might not want to use it as a daily car. They might not see its classic potential. They might just think it's a pile of crap and they all deserve to rust away and die. However, when it comes to just spending a few quid on it, for the sake of doing a good thing for the community, a fun thing, having a bit of fun with it, a bit of a hobby, doing a bit of good for some YouTube channel, all of that sort of thing, you know, chucking 100 quid or something into the pot might make it much more palatable and interesting, I think. So there you go. If you're interested, give me a shout. Okay, my lovelies. Gosh, I've turned the blower off so that I can speak to you, and I've gone all misted up. Never mind, I'm home now. Right, that's it for this one, my lovelies. Thank you as always for your company. I'm always grateful for that, and have a safe and peaceful night, or a great day ahead, depending on when you're watching this. Above all, take really, really good care of yourselves. Okay, darlings, much love from me. See you next time. Pachoo, and of course, and indeed, bosh.